1 in 4 women will be a victim of domestic abuse in their lifetime, and 1 in 5 women will be a victim of sexual assault. But how do they survive, and who would you call if you needed help? Let's talk about it. Welcome to My Healthy Mind. I'm Elizabeth Atkins.
And I'm Michael Hunter.
Every week on My Healthy Mind, we invite guests to talk about mental health and other topics that people are often reluctant to talk about in public. Our guests include mental health advocates and experts in the field, along with people who have triumphed over difficult issues. Today, we're talking about domestic abuse and sexual assault. Our guests are working to shatter the stigma and raise awareness about violence against women and men so that more people can find the courage and resources to leave abusive situations for themselves and for their children. First, we'll learn exactly what defines domestic abuse and sexual assault from Barbara Neese-May. She's Executive Director of Safehouse Center. She'll also tell us about programs that can help women who survive abuse.
And then we'll talk with Millie Chu, a Safehouse client who survived an assault by her boyfriend and took action in court to protect herself. Her story has surprising twists and turns that can empower women to triumph over fear and legal obstacles to get justice, feel safe, and heal from the trauma of abuse.
Both of our guests will talk about steps that women and men can take to learn the warning signs of abuse, know what to do when it happens, and understand how to get the law on their side to stay safe. Please stay tuned. What you learn on today's show could save your life or the life of someone you know. We'll be right back. Mental illness affects 1 in 5 adults. It's time we talk about it. Actress and mental health advocate Marielle Hemingway will share her personal story at the Team Cares Luncheon on Tuesday, March 29th. For tickets, visit team-cares.org.
Magformers. Each set sold separately, batteries not included.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. Joining us today is Barbara Neese-May, Executive Director of Safehouse Center in Ann Arbor. Safehouse is a shelter and so much more. It's providing support, advocacy, and resources for survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence and their children. Barbara, welcome to My Healthy Mind.
Thank you for having me today.
You're so welcome. A lot of times women don't realize that what they're experiencing is domestic abuse or sexual assault. So let's start by giving us a definition of exactly what is domestic abuse and sexual assault.
Absolutely. Domestic violence is when the partner is basically seeking to have power and control over the other partner, and they do this through a variety of tactics. Some of your viewers might want to Google the power and control wheel, but it talks about using intimidation, economic abuse, using children, and of course what keeps it all going is the threat or the commission of physical or sexual violence, and so that's domestic violence. Sexual assault is a little bit different. Sexual assault is any unwanted sexual contact. And it can be in a variety of ways, but in essence, Michigan law says if there's any unwanted sexual contact, that there should be consequences and it's a crime.
And you see approximately 5,500 women and children a year.
Yes.
How do you do that?
Oh, wow. It's through a lot of different people caring a lot about the work that we do at Safehouse Center. We have 34 staff that serve in lots of different capacities as counselor advocates. We also have 150 active volunteers that provide well over 15,000 hours of service every year. And in the end, we have people in our community that say, we want to be on the side of survivors having support and justice. And that's how we get it done.
But before you can get it done, the woman has to come to you.
Yes.
And women are often so terrified to leave their abuser because they're worried what will happen to themselves, their children, and their loved ones. So what are 3 things, Barbara, that finally serve as that catalyst to make a woman finally leave?
Oh, wow, 3 things. The first thing that comes to mind are the children. Frankly, they're realizing that their kids are seeing it, or sometimes one of the children might be trying to get in front of the assailant so they don't hurt mommy, and that is absolutely terrifying. There are also women that we see that don't have children, and they realize that their life could be at risk, and they decide to reach out and get help because they realize their life is at risk. And I would say the third reason is that one day they woke up with a measure of hope that they hadn't expected to have, and they said, I know my life can be better. I'm not quite sure how or why, and then they start asking people or talking about it. And there are many people in our community that know about Safehouse. They say, go to Safehouse. They know the road to get out of here.
So Barbara, you mentioned hope, and that's something Elizabeth always talks about. And on our show, we emphasize, let's talk about it. So if a friend did say, hey, maybe your life can be better, what is a person to experience? What's the process when they call Safehouse? What are they going to go through?
Well, first of all, people can either just walk in to Safehouse between 9 and 5, and they'll be in front of a trained staff person within 10 minutes. So, which is powerful because sometimes that's the day that they're driving past Safehouse and they say, this is the day I'm going to go in and ask for help. If they decide to call our 24/7 helpline, first we're going to ask if they feel like they're in a safe place or if they need any medical treatment, and we don't belabor it. I mean, sometimes they're saying it's the person that woke up and said, I just want my life to be different. And so we ask them what is it they would visualize, and they will talk about what it is that they visualize. And from there, we talk about what resources we have at Safehouse, such as our shelter, counseling. They may already be in a criminal process because they've called the police, and we have legal advocates that go to court with them. So there's a lot of things that come to survivors when they do reach out to us, and it makes an enormous difference in their lives.
So say they're fleeing a very dangerous situation and they come to Safehouse for shelter. What security measures do you have in place so that the abuser can't come and try to hurt them and the people around them?
Absolutely. We take that very seriously at Safehouse Center. To begin with, we talk to the survivor because they know the assailant better than anybody, and they know often know what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, or how they might do it. We're also right behind the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department, so there's lots of presence there, and also Pittsfield Township drives through frequently. We have cameras, locked doors, other security measures that we take when survivors come in, and build a safety plan for every survivor who comes to Safehouse.
And you're located in Ann Arbor. Is there any kind of geographic range of women you can accept?
Well, we serve Washtenaw County, but we have reciprocity frankly throughout the country, because maybe a survivor has family here, or it's just safer to be here than to be in, Alpena, Michigan. So we absolutely are open to anybody who needs shelter and support.
That's awesome. Barbara, thank you for being with us so far. We're going to have you back a little later in the show and continue this conversation.
Thank you.
But first, after a short break, you'll meet a woman who survived an abusive relationship, persevered through the court system, and now advocates for abused women to get the help they need. We'll be right back.
Welcome to My Healthy Mind, a show that dares to talk about mental health, addiction, abuse, domestic violence, depression. Have these challenges affected you? Watch My Healthy Mind every Sunday at noon on TV 20. Let's talk about it.
You taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. We're so grateful that Millie Chu is here to share her story about how she survived abuse and took action in court to protect herself. Millie is a Safehouse client as well as a business counselor at Washtenaw Community College. Millie, welcome to My Healthy Mind.
Thank you.
We're so happy that you're here to share your story so other women can learn how to escape from an abuser and get the legal protection that they need. And I know, unfortunately, firsthand what that process is like. It's very scary. I've been through it. And that's why I really commend you for being here to share your story with such courage.
Thank you. Happy to.
So let's start with your story. We want to hear what happened with your boyfriend. How did you escape? How did you find Safehouse? And what happened to him?
Well, I was dating a man for about a year and a half. When I told him that I was done with the relationship, he got really upset and he attacked me, and on his way out the door, he grabbed my purse, so I called 911 right away. The police came over to my house, and as they were walking in, the perpetrator happened to call me on my cell phone. The policeman took the phone and he said, "This is Officer so-and-so, and you have two choices. You either bring it back or we're gonna come out and get you." So, of course, he came back and he brought back my purse, and they arrested him. So after some time that he served in the jail, they let him go because he denied the fact that he did anything. So the clerk called me and warned me that he was being let out of jail. So at that moment, I grabbed my stuff and left home because I knew that he would come back to my house. Throughout this, I had to file 2 police reports and also a personal protection order, PPO. When I filed the PPO, the clerk there at the courthouse gave me some contact information to Safehouse Center. So that's when I called Safehouse to get some help and some direction. I really had no idea what to do, how the process works, and what to expect.
Mm-hmm. So, Millie, you said that the legal advocate from Safehouse was instrumental in helping you through this process. Do you think you, first of all, would have persevered through the process, which had a lot of obstacles, right? And secondly, would you have been as successful?
I think without the Safehouse advocate, that it would have been a lot more difficult and I would have felt a lot more alone. But the guidance and just the friendship was amazing. I remember the first time I spoke with the advocate, I felt like she was my instant friend and supporter. And it was great to have that kind of connection and friendship to walk alongside with me.
What advice do you give women who are abused and afraid to get help because of social factors?
It's so important, I think, for women to realize that, number one, it is not their fault. Number two, that there are resources. Number three, that there are people that do love and support you and do want to fight for you. And to ask questions, to seek help, ask friends, ask the police department, ask Safehouse advocate, and just start talking to people. And And there'll be people that will help come and support you like they did for me.
Millie, you did everything you just advised other women to do, and as a result, you triumphed in court. So tell us what happened to your abuser.
Well, he was found guilty of a misdemeanor criminal charge and is subject to 3 years probation and also to not be possess any weapons of any kind and to give those up as well.
And the ironic twist in your situation is also that your abuser shatters the stereotype that people might have of an abuser. He's an executive.
Yes, I mean, he was a very accomplished professional in a very, very prominent and established large corporation.
Thank you, Millie, for sharing your story. It's so powerful and inspiring.
Thank you.
We're going to talk more with you and Barbara Nice-May after a short break, so please stay with us. Welcome to My Healthy Mind, a show that dares to talk about mental health matters that touch nearly every family, yet many find difficult to talk about. Addiction, abuse, domestic violence, depression, alcoholism, suicide. Have these challenges affected you? Each week you'll meet guests who share their stories, hear from local experts, and learn about resources that may help. Watch My Healthy Mind every Sunday at noon on TV 20. Let's talk about it.
Stress, depression, and severe mental illness can happen to anyone. Team Mental Health Services has been helping those struggling with these conditions in southeastern Michigan. Within 24 hours of reaching out to our team, members receive psychiatric evaluations and begin the necessary treatment for recovery.
Towards the 6th court date, I finally stood up and said, I can handle this process the rest of the way. And it was all because of the motivation and encouragement I got from Team Mental Health staff.
Team Mental Health Services, because we care and you can.
Welcome back to My Healthy Mind. We're talking with Barbara Nice-May, the Executive Director of Safehouse Center, and Safehouse client Millie Chu. Barbara and Millie, you both are champions for the cause, and you are on a quest to eradicate the stigma associated with domestic violence and sexual assault. With that said, Barbara, you realized that you were the victim of a sexual assault, but you realized sometime later. Can you tell us how that happened?
Absolutely. I started in this work because I learned that a lot of the women I was working with had experienced sexual assault and domestic violence, so I had reached out to a local program to get help and then wound up working for the program. And as I went through training and learned more about sexual assault and domestic violence, I realized that I had experienced sexual assault and didn't even know it. I thought I had gotten myself into a situation and that I had to just deal with it and face facts, and it was my own fault. It's interesting, as we're raised, that men are taught a very different set of rules than women are. I teach courses on this issue at local universities, and men are very clear to talk about how they're taught to go to college, and girls are how they're taught to go to college. Men are taught, kind of live a little and get your education, study hard, but live a little, go to parties, meet people, do things. Whereas women are told, watch your drink, look out for who you're dating, make sure you're never alone with somebody you don't trust. I mean, it's just a very different set of rules. And unfortunately, I wasn't taught very much of that. None of us are. And you're not taught on what sexual assault looks like and what it is. And so it's important for our young people to understand these issues as well.
So Barbara, we're so grateful that you're teaching other women all of these things now to empower them. Unfortunately, when women do get killed by their abusers, oftentimes on the news we hear it was when they were trying to leave them or they were estranged from the husband or boyfriend. So can you tell us what you tell women who want to leave an abuser, how to prepare secretly a plan to escape safely for themselves and their children?
Absolutely. I talked about the power and control and how the violence escalates. It skyrockets when this happens. Of course, we want them to be safe. We want them to get out. But at the same time, you need to plan for that safety. So before you leave, we talk about gathering specific documents or getting copies of them. Maybe if you can, gather some money. Leave a bag with a trusted friend or something like that. But then after you leave is knowing that where you're staying is safe. File for a personal protection order, document everything. While we have grown for our criminal system to understand domestic violence, understand its impact, there still needs to be documentation and dates and how things played out so that judges and law enforcement can know this is how serious this is and to document how the violence has grown.
And Millie, you seem to be healing emotionally over the trauma and abuse. Great story. I'm really, really proud of you. What else would you tell women who need to seek counseling or a safe house?
I would tell them that they just need to make that call and talk to someone, and don't wait, because the longer you wait, the more opportunities and more time you can give someone to hurt you. So to really protect yourself. And although that we may be victims, we don't have to stay that way. And myself, I am now a survivor, but it goes beyond that. I'm not just a survivor. I feel like I've conquered it and overcame it and victorious over the situation. So that's not where it stops, it's surviving. It's really conquering the situation. And also to refuse to let that kind of past or that kind of pain in this situation, although it may be traumatic, to not let that poison the person that you were meant to be, to really live, to be your authentic self. I am so thankful that I had that support and I was able to overcome this and really be victorious in this situation and be able to help other people that might be going through this.
Millie, it's so wonderful to see you move on from all of that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Barbara, can you tell us a success story that you've experienced at Safe House?
Absolutely. Wow, there's so many, but there's one that stands out in my mind. I noticed someone in a blue car parking in front of the walkway right up into Safe House, and they came in and they immediately asked to talk to our shelter coordinator. And I said, "Can I help you?" She said, "No, I need to see the shelter coordinator. I need to see Kim." And I said, "Well, I'm the executive director, maybe." "No, I need to see Kim because I have my blue car that I told her that I was gonna get as soon as I became promoted manager at the gas station I work at." And that sentence told me everything. I had a chance to read more about her. She came to us, she was 20 years old. She had been brought from another country to marry someone she had never met before. After the marriage began, started becoming abusive. The abuse was constant. It was emotional, it was verbal, it was physical. And after a couple of weeks, she was ready to go back because she said, "I don't see how this is even possible. There's just no hope." And the Safe House advocates said, "You can do this. You can make this happen for yourself." And she did. We might not all think of blue cars as our triumph, as our hope, as our affirmation that we've gotten to that next step, but we all have those goals. And in the first place, no one should ever be put in this situation. It is a crime. There is no entitlement here. This should not be happening. However, there is another side to it. There is hope. There is triumph. There is victory. There is a way of getting past this. And Safe House is part of that journey. We credit the survivors for doing all the work, but we get to be part of the journey, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. We want to commend both of you for coming on to help our viewers understand domestic abuse and sexual assault and learn resources where they can get help and see triumphant stories so they can feel inspired. So thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you both.
We'll be right back after a short break.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Mental illness affects 1 in 5 adults. It's time we talk about it. One of the most famous legacies of suicide and mental illness is the Hemingway family. Join us Tuesday, March 29th for the Teen Cares Luncheon when actress and mental health advocate Marielle Hemingway will share her personal struggles and triumphs. For tickets and information, call 734-667-4425 or visit us at teen-cares.org.
Domestic abuse and sexual assault are very serious topics, and we want to thank our special guests today, Barbara Niece-May of Safehouse Center and Millie Chu for telling her survivor story. Elizabeth, what did you take from today's show?
I was really encouraged by Millie Chu, very impressed by her courage and her ability to so eloquently express what she went through and what it was like, and how she had the courage to persevere through the court system to get justice and safety for herself. I also loved that she explained the importance of having a legal advocate from Safehouse who helped her navigate the court system.
And for me, it was the blue car story. Yeah. The fact that after all of that trauma, that goal setting was still effective and achievable, and that somebody was able to realize that they're very important even after something like that. Not only are you important before it happens to you, you're important while it's happening to you, and to know that you're important enough when it's all said and done that you can still achieve your goals in life.
Yes.
Very, very moving.
Inspiring, very informative show today, Michael.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Before we close today, we want to remind you that no topics about mental health and wellness are off limits on our show. What do you want us to talk about? Contact us and let us know. Be sure to visit us on Facebook and Twitter and email us at our website, myhealthymind.com. There, you'll also find helpful resources, including those mentioned on today's show. When you contact us, rest assured that we keep your information private. We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you again for joining us today, and we'll see you next week.